You probably think you're at the peak of human evolution right now. You can build rockets, cure diseases, and somehow convince people to watch you play video games for 8 hours straight. Pretty impressive, right? Well, here's the thing. Your ancestors used to be way cooler. And I don't mean that metaphorically. We're talking actual biological superpowers. The kind of stuff that would make comic book writers jealous. Except somewhere along the line, we just gave them up. Traded them away. Like we were playing the world's worst game of evolutionary poker and kept folding on the good hands. So stick around, because we're about to find out what genetic gifts our ancestors possessed that you're walking around without. Some of them will blow your mind. Others will make you genuinely upset that natural selection decided you didn't need them anymore. Number 1, a tail. Look, I get it. You already saw the tail one. But here's why it has to be number 1. It's not just that we had a tail. It's that we had weaponized it. Our ancestors didn't just have a dangly appendage hanging off the back of their spine. They had a fully functional tail that could assist with balance and movement through the trees. A counterbalancing tool that let them do things we literally cannot do. Imagine swinging through a rainforest canopy, not walking, not running, but flying from branch to branch. Now imagine doing that while your tail adjusts your balance in real time, like nature's own built-in gyroscope. Fast forward about 25 million years. Something changed. Our ancestors started moving differently. They didn't need to swing under branches anymore. They started climbing vertically, using their arms instead of their tail. And as ape locomotion changed, the evolutionary advantage of having a tail may have diminished. So evolution did what evolution does. One major genetic change may have helped set that loss in motion. And here's the weird part. It did this using a tiny genetic accident that may have helped change the course of ape evolution. Your tail didn't disappear instantly. It got reabsorbed into your body during fetal development. That's why every human embryo grows a tail for a few weeks before it vanishes. You had one. Your grandparents had one. Your great-grandparents had one. We all did. It just gets recycled now. And the leftover bones? That's your tailbone. The thing that reminds you it hurts so much when you slip on ice. Number 2, full body fur. Humans are basically the only primate that looks like someone forgot to dress us before sending us out into the world. Our ancestors were completely covered in fur. But somewhere along the line, that changed. We don't just have less visible body hair. We're basically naked compared to what we started with. This wasn't random. And the leading explanation? Heat. As our ancestors became increasingly active in hot, open environments over millions of years, thick fur became a problem instead of a solution. Most animals solve this problem by staying in the shade or being active at night. Humans said no. We did something crazy instead. We thinned out our fur, and in exchange, we massively expanded something other primates rely on far less, eccrine sweating. Today, your body carries around 2 to 4 million sweat glands. That's right. We literally installed a cooling system. Think about that. We sacrificed the insulation and protection that every other mammal relies on in exchange for the ability to just drip sweat and keep moving. It's basically like choosing to run a marathon naked instead of wearing weather-appropriate clothing. But here's the payoff. It changed everything about what we could do. No more hiding. No more being slaves to the shade. We could hunt during the day. We could follow prey across open ground. We could do things for hours that would make any other animal pass out from overheating. The crazy part? We're still paying the price. That's why you need sunscreen. That's why you get sunburned. That's why you look like a lobster after a beach day. As our body hair thinned, our extraordinary sweating system turned us into extremely effective endurance coolers. But now we're basically walking around like defrosted chickens needing constant UV protection. Number 3, fangs. Your ancestors had canine teeth. Big ones. Like actually intimidating canines. Not vampire fangs. We're not doing that. But real, pointed, aggressive-looking teeth. Our early ancestors had massive canines. Not because we were carnivores. It was about display, dominance, intimidation. Your canine teeth were like your resume for being in charge. The bigger the fangs, the more power you could project, especially when competing for mates and status. Humans now? We have tiny little canines. We're barely distinguishable from our incisors. If you bared your teeth at someone, you'd probably just get laughed at. This is actually one of the most defining characteristics of being human. Not our big brains. not our opposable thumbs. It's this, the dramatic reduction of canine teeth, and it happened early. We're talking about 4 to 5 million years ago, right at the beginning of the human lineage. One intriguing theory is that shrinking canines reflected a change in how our ancestors competed. Instead of relying as heavily on threat displays and direct aggression, early hominins may have increasingly depended on cooperation and different social strategies. Maybe females started preferring the less aggressive males. Maybe teamwork became more valuable than individual dominance displays. But scientists still debate exactly what drove the change. Whatever caused it, those shrinking canines became one of the earliest clues that our lineage was becoming very different from the other apes. Number 4, massive jaw strength. Let's talk about bite force. How hard can you bite down right now? Go ahead, bite something soft. Doesn't feel like much, right? Some of our extinct relatives had skulls, jaws, and chewing muscles far more robust than ours. We're talking about the kind of bite force capable of generating chewing forces considerably greater than ours. Serious power. Humans now? We top out around 150 to 200 psi. We're basically wimps by comparison. We went from having a vice grip to having the bite force of someone who's really committed to a handshake. One clue to what changed is a gene called MYH16. It codes for a muscle protein that makes jaw muscles massive and powerful. In our distant relatives, this gene was firing on all cylinders. In humans, it lost its original function. One influential study placed that change around 2.4 million years ago, although that date has since been debated. It's like someone switched off the power to our jaw muscles and we just never bothered to fix it. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some researchers once proposed that weakening our jaw muscles may have freed up the skull from constraints that limited brain expansion. That our brains got bigger precisely because our jaws got smaller. It's a neat idea, a clean trade-off between jaw power and thinking power. But that idea remains debated. We don't have solid evidence that the two are directly connected. What we do know is, we chose a different path. We didn't process tough foods with our teeth anymore. We used our hands. We used tools. We used fire. We invented cooking. We decided to use our brains to solve problems instead of just crunching through them. Could we process much tougher foods if we retained those massive jaws and chewing muscles? Almost certainly. But instead, we built fire, invented knives, and decided to think our way out of problems. Weird trade, but I guess it worked out okay. Number 5, a functional chemical sense. This one's invisible, but it might be the most important shift in how we became human. Many mammals possess what's basically a second smell system. It's called the vomeronasal organ, also known as Jacobson's organ. It sits in the roof of your mouth and does one job. It detects chemical signals involved in reproduction and social behavior. Pheromones, social signals. The chemical language that most mammals use to communicate with each other. Our primate ancestors inherited this system too. But somewhere in ape evolution, something changed. Much of its molecular machinery broke down. The receptor genes and neural hardware that make the system work in most other mammals just stopped functioning in us. Humans may retain traces of the structure. If you look in the roof of your mouth, there's a tiny pit where it used to be, but the functional parts are largely gone. Exactly what information our ancestors could extract from this sensory pathway is impossible to know. But they possessed an entire way of reading social signals that modern humans appear to have largely lost. And here's what's strange. Losing that system didn't leave humans socially blind. We became extraordinary at extracting information through completely different channels: faces, voices, body language, and eventually language itself. Scientists can't say those abilities evolved because we lost our chemical sense. Evolution rarely gives us trades that clean. But the contrast is incredible. Many mammals still navigate a hidden world of chemical signals, while humans built our social world around sight and sound instead. So somewhere deep in our evolutionary past sits a sensory system our ancestors possessed and we barely understand today. A whole channel of biological information that has largely gone silent. Number 6, superior night vision. For this one, we have to go much further back. Not to ancient humans, but to our distant mammalian ancestors living alongside dinosaurs. Our mammal ancestors used to have incredible night vision. Back when there were dinosaurs, mammals were basically tiny, nocturnal creatures hiding in burrows. They had enormous eyes relative to their body size, eyes that could see in very low light. eyes that gave them a serious advantage in the dark. But then mammals developed a problem. In the dark, color vision doesn't matter much. So over millions of years of being nocturnal, most mammals lost their ability to see colors. They kept their night vision and traded color for darkness adaptation. Our ancestors did something different. About 30 to 40 million years ago, a mutation occurred in a gene responsible for color vision. Suddenly, some individuals had an extra type of color receptor. They could see colors their ancestors couldn't, and they thrived. Because we moved back to a diurnal lifestyle, day active instead of night active. And in the daytime, being able to see colors is incredibly useful. You can see ripe fruits. You can spot predators more easily. You can navigate complex environments and read facial expressions with precision. So we invested heavily in color vision. Our eyes became optimized for daylight and color. We became trichromatic, seeing 3 different spectrums of color. The trade-off? We lost a lot of our night vision capability. We don't have the eye structure for it anymore. We don't have the rod-dominated retinas that would let us see in very low light. In extremely dim light, we're basically useless. Most nocturnal mammals would navigate circles around us. But when the sun comes up, we see a world of color that most mammals can't even imagine. We see variations and nuances that would blow their minds. And more importantly, we can read faces. We can see the subtle shifts in someone's expression. We can navigate a complex visual world. It's not a superpower loss, exactly. It's more like we took the superpower we had in one field and converted it into a different superpower in another. We traded night for day. We traded chemical signals for visual ones. And that conversion became one of the keys to how we understand each other. So there you have it. 6 superpowers our ancestors had that we don't. A tail for balance and movement through the trees. Full-body fur for protection and insulation. Intimidating fangs for status and dominance. Massive jaw strength for processing food. A chemical sensing system for instant social information. And the ability to navigate in very low light. And look at what emerged along the way. Bigger brains, language, extraordinary cooperation, tools, complex social communication, and eventually the ability to survive almost anywhere on Earth. And I guess, when you put it that way, we made out okay. But next time you're trying to figure out if someone's being genuine with you, or you're stumbling around in the dark, or you're getting sunburned for the millionth time, just remember, your ancestors would have handled that way better than you are right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into what we used to be, subscribe for more. Because honestly, there's a lot more sitting around in our genome that we've just forgotten about. And the more you look at human evolution, the weirder and more interesting it gets. Anyway, thanks for watching.